Leah Tortilla presents.
Hey guys, it's me, Leah Tortilla, and welcome back to another episode. Today, I'll be showing you guys how to make my Asian style braised beef. You can see over here, I've already done most of the prep work, and that's because it involved chopping onions, and I was fed up of crying in between takes and having to go and fix my makeup. But as always, this recipe is so simple and delicious. You guys are gonna love it. I hope you're hungry. Now preheat your oven to 180 degrees. To start, it's best you get some sort of casserole dish or oven-proof dish that's big enough for everything to go in it. And then we're gonna put it on the hob on a high heat. We're gonna add a splash of sesame oil. And get that nice and hot. And when our sesame oil is nice and hot, we're going to add 2 finely diced, chopped onion, red onion. You want the red onion because they're sweeter. Once you've added your red onion, we're going to add 4 cloves of chopped garlic. We like our garlic, we do. And then to our onions and garlic, we want to add quite a bit of roughly chopped ginger. So this was roughly around a 4 centimetre thumb of ginger. To that, we're going to add 2 really finely chopped chilies. Then we're going to add 1 teaspoon of Chinese 5-spice and 2 star anise. Now you want to sweat these ingredients down until they're nice and soft. And don't worry about it catching on the bottom, because yet again we're going to deglaze the pan and get rid of all of that, and it's all going to turn into tastiness. So once your onion and garlic mixture is all soft, we're going to remove it from the pan and put it to the side for just a moment. Now we move on to our beef. You see here, I have bought some already cubed diced beef. Cubed diced, you know what I mean. I have some store-bought diced beef. For this recipe, it doesn't actually require using raw beef. Say you had a roast dinner the day before and you've still got quite a lot of beef left from your roast beef, or yeah, we're on about beef. You can always use whatever you have left from that joint and just do that. Use that beef. You don't have to go out and buy raw beef, just, you know, utilise what you already have. No waste. But unfortunately, I did not have roast beef for dinner last night, so I am using my store-bought diced beef, and to that we're going to add 2 tablespoons, 1 and 2 of flour, plain flour, salt and pepper. Now you can toss this around with your hands, but I really am not in the mood to make a mess for once, so I'm going to cling film it and give it a good shake and make sure each piece of beef is equally coated in our seasoned flour. Once your beef is evenly coated in the seasoned flour, we're going to bring our pan back to the heat and add a drop of regular old cooking oil. When our cooking oil is nice and hot, we're going to go ahead and add our floured beef to the pot. Make sure you get all that flour in there because that's what thickens the sauce. Anyway, we're going to cook this beef until it goes nice and brown on the outside. Once your beef has started to brown, it's time to add back the onion mix. Now to this, we're going to add 125 millilitres of white wine. And then we're going to add 2 tablespoons of soft dark brown sugar. To this mix, we're going to add 500 millilitres of boiling water and a singular beef stock cube. And stir this round and bring it to the boil. But before we bring it to the boil, we're going to add 6 tablespoons of soy sauce. So once it started boiling, here I've got some shredded cabbage that I chopped up earlier, and I'm going to add that to our stew. I realise now that a whole cabbage was probably a little too much, although it was a small cabbage, I will admit. So I'm only going to add half. And yeah, we're going to put a lid on this and stick it in the oven. Make sure you stir all of this in, getting rid of all the stick that's on the bottom of the pan before we place the lid on top and place it in the oven. Now you'll know when your braised beef is done when the meat is nice and tender and it just falls apart with just a touch of a fork. And this could take anywhere between an hour and 2 hours. So in about half an hour's time, I'm going to pull it out and check the consistency of the meat. If it's nice and tender, then it's done. If it's still a little bit hard and chewy, then I'm going to leave it in there for another half an hour and then repeat the process again every half hour. Just a quick tip, if you're going to cook this dish for any more than 4 people, say if you double the recipe or you triple the recipe, don't forget to do that to the cooking time as well. It's our first half an hour check. Do not forget to use tea towels or oven gloves when getting this out of the oven, because the oven is extremely hot and we don't want anybody burning themselves, because I do that far too much. So we're going to give it a good old stir. You see, you take out a piece of beef and give it a squish. It's still quite rubbery and quite tough. I can tell that just by poking it. And I'm going to have to put a little bit more liquid in here because it is absorbing. Not absorbing, what's the word? Evaporating, that's the word. The liquid is evaporating, so I'm going to put a splash more water in here. Actually, only a splash, because we don't want to take away all of the flavour by adding too much water. There we go. We're going to place the lid back on, and back this goes in the oven for another half an hour. Rightio, this is now the second half an hour check, so our braised beef has been in the oven for an hour now. I'm going to give it a stir and we're going to check the meat to see if it's nice and tender. So once again, we take out a rather large chunk of beef. Careful, it is hot. And we give it a squeeze. Look at that, it broke in half. So that to me says this is ready. Let me just try a piece. Yes, my friends, that beef is so tender. So it took an hour. So what I'm going to do now is turn the oven off because we no longer need that. It would help if I turned the knobs the right way. We're going to put the lid back on our braised beef and we're going to put that to the side until we need it for dinner. To get our braised beef ready for dinner, I'm going to cook some rice, but if you don't want rice, you could always have it with mashed potatoes or even noodles. It's quite a noodly dish, yeah, I could see that. But anyway, so around 5 to 10 minutes before I'm ready to serve. I'm going to place some pac-choi and some mangetout into the pot while I'm bringing it back up to temperature, and that way the veg will steam through in the sauce and they'll be nice and crisp, ready to eat, and just make the dish even more delicious. And then when you're plating up the dish, you want to finish it with a sprinkling of freshly chopped spring onions and coriander. Of course, I'll show you how to do all of that closer to the time of dinner. But until then, I've got all this washing up to do. Now it's time for dinner. So our rice is almost cooked. We've brought our braised beef up to temperature. You can see it's bubbling away nicely here, so give that a nice stir. Then we're going to add our pac-choi and our mangetout. You see, I'm only doing the bottoms of the pac-choi at the minute because they take longer to cook, as they are a lot tougher than the leaves, because obviously the leaves are a bit like spinach and spinach wilts down so quickly. Then we're going to place the lid back on and wait until about 3 minutes till before serving, and then we'll add the leaves. Rice is ready and our braised beef is up to temperature. We're going to add our pac-choi leaves and allow them to steam while we plate up. There you have my Asian style braised beef. I'm gonna go off and enjoy my dinner now, while you guys can share this video. Give me a like, leave me a comment. If you want to see more, then subscribe to my channel. I will see you guys next week. This has been Tortilla. See you later.